This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, and let them come up. Joel 3 and 10. Beat your plowshares and swords and pruning hooks, and let the weak say I am strong. Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, a great millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say, shalom to y'all out there. And as you've seen, I'm bringing those scriptures out and correlate to this right here of this news article that I'm about to bring out. On this June the 26th, 2022 at 4:08 p.m. In the news on this Sunday afternoon. And this is from RT.com, published on June the 26th, 2022, Home World News. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads from RT.com, and it says, NATO to decide on biggest deployment since the Cold War. The military bloc seen the entire division to its eastern flank to the interior of Russia. El Paz reports the upcoming summit in Madrid, which I just seen not too long ago. I believe Joe Biden was there at G7 and with the leaders and stuff like that. They was all sitting at the table discussing plans. Then I seen another article from RT. They was gonna indefinitely fully support Ukraine, because with the current Russia-Ukraine war going on currently right now. And continue on with the reading. The upcoming NATO summit in Madrid might see the military bloc decide to send thousands of troops to Russia doorstep. The Spanish newspaper, right, because you got a lot of other troops already been deployed in eastern Ukraine, potentially the UK and other allies that's with Ukraine that fully support Ukraine, and the United States and Western countries as well too, fully support Ukraine. So, that goes into the book of Joel 3 and 9, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, and that's what we're seeing. These nations are gearing up, preparing for war, continue for a long war, potentially over there in the Russia-Ukraine situation. Because war is still going on. It hasn't slowed down a little bit, in different parts of Ukraine, because it's going to further continue even more, And it says the bloc, which is set to re-event itself next week, will also reportedly cut all ties with Moscow. The paper added, the NATO member states are ready to turn Eastern Europe into a fourth, hosting thousands of soldiers and a large quantity of military equipment, amending fears of a potential Russian assault. The El Paz explained, citing showing familiar with negotiations are still taking place at the military bloc headquarters in Bristol ahead of the summit is scheduled to take place for June the 28th all the way to June the 30th, which is 2 more days away because today is 26th. The U.S.-led organization wants to send a message that it is on war footing and ready to respond to any aggression. The paper said, right, because you got Belarus that's allies with Russia, and I believe Russia got many other allies as well too. So that's why you got G7, NATO, and the Western countries and the United States that's fully allied with Ukraine, because Russia, they got allies as well too. So this tension might further escalate even more and more. And that goes into the book of Joel 3:9 and through verse 10. It says the U.S.-led organization wants to send a message that it is on a war footing and ready to respond to any aggression. The paper said NATO will also use the summit to boost national defense spending and joint finance of the bloc. It's added. The main debate in Madrid will be between Eastern European states who would like to transform into Balotons, if I pronounce that right, into heavy armor bridge stationed permanently on the territories, and others such as the United States or Germany, who prefers to continue with the current strategy or rotating forces which are reinforced in the event of a crisis or conflict. Jamie said, a former high-ranking NATO officially who currently heads the Center for War Studies at the University of Southern Denmark, Tor El Pass. Even if the bloc decides for a lighter deployment, says the strategy, Eastern Europe members might see a NATO force currently stationed with their border double. The group stations in Poland and the ballistic states, now consisting of between 1,000 and 1,600 soldiers, will double in size and would also have a greater autonomy and more sophisticated weapons, according to the El Pass. However, the Talon, Roger, and VH pushed their demands through the NATO build-up could potentially involve entire division mounts and up to 15,000 troops, commanded by generals. Pass said Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia have reportedly asked for between 15,000 and 50,000 troops in total. In mid-June, Reuters, citing diplomats and seniors from leading NATO nations, reporting that the ballistic states will not receive the request build-up. The region has already hosted around about 5,000 multinational troops prior to Russia's attack on Ukraine back in February. Poland Defense Minister Marquez Bazika, if I pronounce that name right, Slovakia, confirmed early on Sunday that the Warsaw would like to see a NATO bridge group deployed to its territory, adding that the bloc flank would require special attention for a long time. So yeah, I ain't gonna read all through all that. So that showing signs right there. If this does be a deployment, if possible, most likely, they said this is gonna be the biggest deployment since the Cold War. So just like in the book of Revelations 11:14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. Because we are seeing signs and steps, and the steps of processing of, of the nations are continually furthermore and increasingly escalating wars, around the world, because you're already seeing a lot of tension going on over there in the Middle East, especially places like Syria, the Syrian border, Iraq and Afghanistan, places like Yemen, these Middle Eastern countries, Yemen, the Syrian border, the Israel border as well too. So, it's going to increase more and more and more, You're going to see the increase of rumors of wars, nations against nations and kingdom against kingdoms is going to increase even more than ever, As I mentioned in my previous videos, I'm going to mention it again, So the rumors of wars, the nation rise against nation and different type of kingdoms going against one another increasingly. You got the NATO and Western countries and United States going against Russia that fully supports Ukraine, assisting them with military aid, military money spending, military equipment, all types of things to help them continue to defend Ukraine with the constantly shellings and air strikes and missile strikes from Russia, from the Russian aggression, And they said if the war in Ukraine it gets further deeper into war, they might send even more heavier deployment of troops, because you got a lot of troops that's deployed in Eastern Europe, and many other countries as well too, like Poland, Lithuanian, and many more other countries, and potentially UK. They might deploy troops over there as well too, So yeah, it's going down, man. Hey, because these are biblical prophecies that we are living in, And just for that, since I brought out the Revelations 11 and 14, and I'm gonna bring it out. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14. In verse 14 in the book of Revelations. Because we are definitely deeply living in the book of Revelations, Because all these prophecies are definitely being shown around the world, Verse 14 in the book of Revelations. The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly, right? Because we are entering in the stages of World War III, WW3, And it's going to further increase in the stages of getting to, World War III, because we are getting close, getting a more inch closer to it by the day, So with that, hope this quick sit-down lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Makakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, a great millstone, pushing his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, pushing the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and above.